Hey guys, it's Tuesday. Welcome to Tuesday. It's cardio day. I hope you enjoyed the upper body workout yesterday. We are going to talk today about calories. Now, the thing we need to know about calories and how it relates to our fitness, we're going to talk about metabolism, we're going to talk about energy in, energy out, that kind of thing. So grab yourself a cup of tea, sit down and listen up, get a pen and paper if you want to remember all of this. But first up, we're going to talk about what exactly a calorie is. So what is a calorie? A calorie is the amount of energy that is required to increase the temperature of 1 litre of water by 1 degree centigrade. So how about that? That's the scientific definition of it. So there is a law of thermodynamics, and one of the basic laws of thermodynamics is that energy is neither created or destroyed. So basically what that means is it is transformed from one form to another. So if you think about it, if you eat 100 calories, let's say, there's one or two things will happen with those 100 calories, or you'll do one or two things with those 100 calories. You will either expend those calories via exercise, and that's known as kinetic energy, or you will save that energy for another time, and that's called potential energy. So those of you that did science at school may remember that. Now, if we are looking for weight loss, or we're looking to maintain a healthy body weight, then we need to monitor the amount of calories that we get in from our diet and the number of calories that we burn and that we expend get my teeth in, through exercise. So let's have a think about all of those things. Now, some of you will have heard me talk about this before, but it's always interesting and wise to remind yourself of it and listen again. So first of all, let's remind ourselves of where the energy comes from when we consume food. Now, we have macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients generally refer to the big stuff, the carbohydrate, the protein, and the fats. And then micronutrients we refer to as or refer to the minerals and vitamins within the food. So carbohydrate, protein and fat all contain a certain amount of energy that we use to keep us going, basically. So we need food. Now, protein is primarily used to repair damaged tissue or to build new tissue. So when we're breaking down those tissues in our strength workouts, we need protein to ensure that we rebuild and repair those muscles. We don't need an abundance of it, but we need a small amount of it. It works out as the smallest part of our overall dietary intake. So about 20% of our diet should come from protein sources. And every gram of protein carries 4 calories with it. Okay, so 4 calories of energy for us to be able to use. Carbohydrate makes the biggest percentage of our overall intake, and carbohydrate comes in the form of bread, rice, pasta, cereals and potatoes, but it also comes in the form of fruit and vegetables. And every gram of carbohydrate also carries 4 calories. Then we have our fats, again a very interesting topic, fat, and we need to make sure we get a good significant amount of fat in our diet, and actually it's 30% is what we try and achieve or aim to achieve, and we want those to be the good fats. You've heard me say that before last week, but every gram of fat carries 9 calories, and every gram of fat carries 9 calories. So that doesn't matter whether it's a butter or whether it's an olive oil. Yes, there's a difference in the health benefits of those two things, but when we're talking calories, they are exactly the same, gram for gram. Okay, so fat and carbohydrate and energy is what our muscles use to fuel the contractions when we are doing. Don't just think about it as exercising, lifting your dumbbells, doing your squats and lunges and bicep curls. Your energy required to sit from standing, stand from sitting, well, either way really, just to walk around, just to move, just to do daily stuff, to mow the lawn, to pick up the washing, to do the ironing, that kind of stuff. And fats and carbohydrates are converted by our body into a form of energy which is called adenosine triphosphate, ATP for short, and that is basically human energy. And we store a little bit of ATP in our muscles, but we don't store enough to be able to keep us going for any sustained period of time. So the amount of energy that we have stored in our muscles will last for about 20 seconds, and I'll come on to where we kind of use that in a minute. But we have to create energy, and we create energy by either what we call glycolysis, which is the breakdown of carbohydrates, lipolysis, which is the breakdown of fats, or gluconeogenesis, which is the breakdown of proteins, which we want the least of because we want to keep that protein to build our muscles and to support the body, make sure that we're not actually eating away at the muscle tissue. We want to eat away at the carbohydrate and the stored body fat. So we have what's called a total daily energy expenditure. So and that is the total amount of energy we burn during the day, and that's broken down into 3 segments, if you like. The first of which is called the thermic effect of food. So this only takes up about 10% of your daily energy expenditure, but it's the energy we use when we're breaking down those macronutrients, so the carbohydrate, protein and fat, for digestion, absorption and then removal, because some of them are waste products we need to get rid of. The second part of our daily energy expenditure comes from the thermic effect of the physical activity that we do. Now we're talking about everything, so it's not just exercise, we're talking about the phone just rang midway through that. So where was I? We were talking about the thermic effect of physical activity, and I'm not just talking about exercise, I'm talking about all the movement that you do in your daily life. So that can be, like I said earlier, standing from a sitting position, something as simple as standing, which uses energy, all the way through to something as vigorous as doing a spin class. Now that thermic effect of physical activity will take out about 15 to 30% of your total overall daily energy expenditure. Now the third thing is our resting metabolic rate. So what we're talking about there is the energy that is required for us to support all of our bodily functions on a daily basis. And that is, we are talking about all the areas of our body, and it takes up about 60 to 75% of our overall daily energy expenditure. Now we're talking about the energy used by your liver, by your brain, by your muscles, by your kidneys, by your heart, and all your other organs. And there's a different percentage for each one of those. Interestingly, the liver uses the most, which is about 27% of the overall resting metabolic rate. The brain comes second at 19%, and then your muscles take about 19% as well. So we want to build those muscles. So now that is affected by differences in your lean body mass. So the more muscle you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate. Your age makes a difference to it. Your gender, men have a higher resting metabolic rate than women because of the testosterone, and therefore they can build more lean body mass. And also things like outdoor temperature, extreme climates can affect the resting metabolic rate, but we're talking really extreme, really, really hot, really, really cold. So what we want to do is, what's the one that we can most affect? And the one we can most affect that had the range was the thermic effect of physical activity. So we've got to get moving more. And as I say, it's a real focus of mine at the moment for you guys to understand that it's not just about the exercise that we do. Yes, that's good. Yes, we want to keep doing that on a daily basis, but I also want to urge you to move and get as physically active as you can in your daily life. I want you to sit less, all right? That's your primary goal. I want you to stand more. I want you to change position more. I want you to move all your joints. I want you to sit in an upright position. So that's what we're working through over the next 28 days, as well as all the other stuff. But just think, do you walk your dogs? Do you clean your own house? Do you walk upstairs every time something needs to go? Or do you pile it all at the bottom of stairs, etc., etc.? Because that part of your overall total daily energy expenditure can be changed by you. We can increase it. You can move more, and you can burn more calories, and you can make more muscle. You've got to get up and do it, and you've got to get that up to that 30%. You can increase your daily energy expenditure by up to 300 calories, which is the equivalent of walking or running, actually, about 3 miles a day. So get active, get moving, walk and talk on the phone, that kind of thing. So I will add a calculation at the end of the video for those that you haven't seen it before, how you can work out your resting metabolic rate and how you can get an average look on your total daily energy expenditure based on how active you are. But let's just finish off this video with a little bit about aerobic exercise, anaerobic exercise, and that energy and where it goes and what we do. So just very, very quickly, without getting too sciencey, aerobic exercise is where we need oxygen to create that energy, and it combines with fats or carbohydrates within the muscle to give you the energy that you need. Aerobic metabolism converts carbohydrate into energy for food, and when you first start exercise, or you move from a low intensity exercise to a slightly higher intensity exercise, you get that little bit of a bit more out of breath, and that's when your body isn't quite there with the process of metabolism and using all of that and breaking all of the fats and carbohydrates down for that level of exercise. So what it does is it uses that little bit stored stuff. Remember I said there's a tiny bit stored in your muscles, but that only lasts for about 20 seconds, okay? So after that time, your body needs to sort of get moving. That's why we try and warm up and transition gradually when we do. But we can use, we can also use fat for energy, and we can use that aerobically too. So when fat is stored, it's stored in what we call adipose tissue, which as far as you're concerned is your fat cells. It's also stored in muscles, it's stored in your organs, and yeah, we can use fat, we can mobilize and use fat for creating our energy. You can also the other thing you need to know is stored within your blood vessels is a hormone called lipoprotein lipase, and LPL. As I say, it's stored in your blood vessels, in your fat stores, and in your liver. And what it does is it moves the fat, the free fatty acids, from the fat stores and into the muscles to be used as energy. Now, if you sit for long periods of time, your body reduces the amount of lipoprotein lipase that you have, and if you reduce the amount of lipoprotein lipase that you have in your body, in your blood vessels, in your fat stores, and in your liver, you are less able to mobilize the fat that is stored to be used for energy. Okay, so sit less, stand more, move more, work more, be active more, and all of those systems will work better for you. There was one more thing I was going to say. I can't remember, but I think it was based around the lines of how much fat our bodies can store. Now, aside from people who are extremely obese, your body can store it's probably about 2.5 stone worth of fat. So you've got plenty of stores to use aerobically, okay? That's without putting loads of more food in. So we want to use up, we want to be a good fat burner, we want to use those fat stores aerobically and anaerobically. A little bit of fat can be used anaerobically as well, but predominantly it's aerobically, and we want to use those stores, and then we can put more in and replenish. So it's kind of like remembering that the food that you eat is fueling all of these systems. We want it for the brain, we want it for the heart, we want it for muscles, we want it to be healthy, we want it to be able to keep us active, because we want to be as active and as mobile as possible all the time. But because we're doing that and we are using and we're getting all of these functions working well, we then have to eat well again to replace that so that we can keep going, and so the cycle moves on. Okay, what we don't need is an excess of stuff coming in because we're not active enough to really use it. We're putting in more fuel than the body needs because we're not mobile. And we've got a couple of choices there. We make our life more active over the course of the whole day. That doesn't mean doing harder bouts of faster running or anything like that, but it just means more activity on a daily basis, getting up and standing up and lifting things and moving things and not asking other people to do it for you. And then you get that information, that food coming in, and it all works well together. So I hope that makes sense to you. A bit of a long video. I'll put the information at the bottom. I'll put it on Facebook so you can see how to work out how many calories you need on a daily basis to keep your weight the same as it is right now. And then I'll give you a bit of advice on where it goes in order to reduce the amount of, if you feel like you're a little bit, if your BMI is slightly high and you're in the danger zone with your waist circumference, then we need to get that balance tipped in the direction of allowing you to lose a little bit of body weight and body fat and move forwards to be healthy forever. All right, that's it. I hope you've listened and I hope you've enjoyed that. Any questions, do give me a shout, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.